A mountainous country lies between Central and South Asia. For many years, this region has failed to attain political stability and has been classified by many authorities as the world's most dangerous. In 2021, the country's administrative center crumbled and the Taliban took control of state institutions. In fact, those closely following the agenda in August 2021 will recall those attempting to board moving planes to escape the Taliban. Are you aware of where this is? It's Afghanistan, and in this video we'll try to grasp life in the country under Taliban rule. Afghanistan is a massive country, covering 652,000 square kilometers. It is ranked as the world's 41st largest country, with a larger land area than industrialized European nations such as France. However, according to pre-Taliban population statistics, the country's registered population in 2021 was 40.1 million. The country shares borders with Iran, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. Kabul, the country's capital, is positioned near the center of the map, slightly to the east. The nation's capital, Kabul, serves as the entry point for those who arrived in Afghanistan by plane and acts as their first point of contact with the country. It is quite challenging to drive to Afghanistan's other extremities due to the country's large and rugged terrain. Furthermore, the country's mountainous terrains hinder efficient agriculture and make it difficult to find clean water. Afghanistan, positioned between Central and South Asia, shares more similarities with the Middle East in terms of culture, traditions, and ethnic structures. For instance, the country's 40 million residents are deeply religious and devoted to practicing Islam. People live conservative lives, with men serving as patriarchal figures in the household. Additionally, communication and relationships among families are close. The country has a long history of coexistence among Pashtuns, Tajiks, Uzbeks, and Arabs, with Dari and Pashto serving as official languages. People continue to live their lives in the same way after the Taliban, and there is no mention of a cultural revolution. Although women have faced direct restrictions, substantial changes to men's lifestyles are not currently visible. After the Taliban, the country's flag was modified, with this white Taliban flag replacing Afghanistan's green, red, and black flag. The flag's white backdrop states, "There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet." Similarly, Taliban soldiers patrolling the city wear their flags as bandanas on their heads, identifying as Islam's military. The Taliban-led Afghanistan sees themselves as liberators in the eyes of its people. The declaration reads, "We were living under the dominance of the United States and were not free." They define the year 2021 as the conquest of Kabul, viewing it as a success story that will lead to liberation after 20 years. After a 20-year military presence, the US withdrew from Afghanistan, allowing the Taliban to restore power. The structures of US military bases are currently abandoned, with walls engraved with Taliban-written messages. The walls explicitly state, "With the help of Allah, the Taliban defeated America." The US was unable to eradicate the Taliban because of Afghanistan's rough, high terrain. During the Soviet Union's 9-year war in Afghanistan, almost 2 million Afghans died in defense of their nation. Despite substantial losses, the Soviet Union was unable to occupy Afghanistan due to its topographical advantage, forcing them to accept a peace pact. Today, however, a major country such as the United States can defeat the Taliban in a single day with the military force at its disposal. As a result, the Taliban are merely tricking themselves into believing they have defeated the United States. They exist only because the United States wants them to, otherwise they cannot represent a threat. Afghans are optimistic about their country's future, citing strong partnerships and petroleum reserves as key factors. They also want to show other countries that they value peace and are working to improve relations. However, it is important to note that nearly no government officially recognizes the Taliban. In terms of diplomatic ties, they are only recognized by Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. People in markets and bazaars remain optimistic about their country and continue to do business. Everyone from the bakery to the butcher has a positive attitude toward Afghanistan. However, it is indisputable that they are currently isolated from the outside world. People may smile, but their eyes are filled with agony and tiredness. Afghan cuisine has evolved with a focus on meat. Because agriculture is not thriving in the country, a meat-centric eating culture has arisen. As a result, living in Afghanistan as a vegetarian is difficult. Meat dishes are continuously being made in the market's restaurants. For example, they have a dish in which all of the birds are placed on huge skewers and cooked over hot sand. Alternatively, they have kebabs, which are skewered portions of thick meat that are incredibly popular among Afghans. Their kebab rationale differs from other kebabs in that it is produced using bone-in meat rather than boneless meat. They, like the Uzbeks, enjoy meat and have at least 2 meat-focused meals every day. They eat not only chickens but also quail meat on a regular basis. Individuals sell live birds in various sections of the capital. The tradition of eating bird meat is widespread not just in Afghanistan, but also throughout the Arab world. Middle Easterners have a fondness for practically all types of meat. The demand for these bird markets in Afghanistan must be high, given a large number of people have entered the industry. Various birds available for purchase in cages may be viewed as a tasty meat experience that pleases the local palate. Some people buy these birds to care for and raise them, but the majority buy them to eat. The country's bread rationale is based on lavash bread, which is peculiar to the region. This bread is called bolani. These bolani breads can be filled with potatoes, leeks, or meat, if desired. The bread is baked in a pit fire and sold while still hot. These bakeries normally employ 4 or 5 individuals and serve customers from early morning till evening. The bread tastes similar to Uzbekistan's samsa pastry. After all, they stuff their samsas with various garnishes. Furthermore, walking around Afghanistan's bazaars will definitely lead you to various weapon shops. These weapon shops display and sell weapons, as well as offer weapon repairs. The Mujahid market within the bazaar provides access to all necessary ammunition for warfare, including bombs and heavy machine guns. This bazaar also sells Taliban official operating camouflage, in addition to firearms. By the way, when you meet any male in Afghanistan, you will almost certainly see that he has a beard. While the younger generation, ages 18 to 30, keeps their beards short, elderly people have longer and thicker beards. As a result, spotting a beardless male in Afghanistan is nearly impossible. It is also rare to see ladies in the bazaar market. You can even buy decals of Taliban commanders at the bazaar. People set up electronic stalls in Kabul's city center, resulting in a busy marketplace. Shopkeepers conduct their enterprises in the middle of the street because there are no taxes or laws in place for opening and running shops in the country. This includes barbers who do hair and beard trims in the middle of the street. There is even one photographer in the country who claims to have the oldest camera in the region. Visitors to the nation frequently visit this photographer and have their photos shot with his camera. This man, who elected not to leave his homeland when the Taliban regime ended, continues his work. He claims to be 80 years old and has been performing this vocation with love in Afghanistan for over 60 years. In addition to prominent persons, Afghanistan has various parks and mausoleums to tour. For example, the mausoleum of Kabul's King Babur is located in Afghanistan and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Furthermore, Kabul is renowned as the city of parks because there are numerous green areas to explore throughout the city, which is a beneficial aspect of urban design. The majority of automobiles in Kabul's traffic lack license plates, and there is no regulation in place. On the other hand, there are fines and even physical harm to people if you park your automobile in the center of the market. This is because, following the Taliban, civil law legislation was completely abandoned, and they enforced their own laws. Equipment from the Soviet conflict can be found on Kabul's highest elevations. When looking down from these high elevations, you can notice that Kabul's buildings are often in terrible condition. The country is in desperate need of development, and the capital feels at least 20 years behind the times. There is a retail center in Kabul, however you cannot shop or withdraw money there, using globally accepted cards such as MasterCard or Visa. The Taliban lacks international agreements, making it impossible to conduct foreign activities there. One of the Taliban's first moves in the country was to restrict poppy production. Before the Taliban, it was legal to plant opium poppies in poppy fields that were publicly grown by people. People were shifting to drug use as a result of harvested poppy output, and this commerce was being traded in Kabul's remote neighborhoods. Prior to the Taliban, Afghanistan was one of Central Asia's and the world's largest herb producers. Substance abuse in the country has been eliminated after the Taliban's fall. People are no longer allowed to use ordinary tobacco there. Today, if you want to be more than a civilian and join the Taliban, you must first attend and graduate from Taliban schools. If you successfully complete the required training, you will be eligible to join the Taliban. If you are a woman in the country, your life can be significantly more difficult. If you want to live a life comparable to that of Western countries and have the same rights, Afghanistan will not meet your expectations. Even young women are barred from attending school in Afghanistan. Only primary school education is permitted. Afghan women must wear a headscarf in public, and the Taliban-approved apparel targets the burqa. According to the Taliban, women who do not wear headscarves risk being jailed for disturbing societal balances. It's difficult not to mention Afghanistan's national sport, buzkashi. This game is derived from a Central Asian custom. Several players ride horseback and attempt to place a goat carcass in a circle marked as a reference point. The person who correctly places it wins the game. Similar games are known under other names in Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. The spectators, as well as the players, thoroughly enjoy watching the game. While the game is competitively similar to football, it carries far more life-threatening risks. Jockeys riding horses during the game may fall off and sustain injuries, break bones, or even die. Finally, whether or not Afghanistan remains under Taliban leadership, there is still a long way to go. While it may be interesting to learn about local flavors, Afghan culture, people, mausoleums, and how the city works, it does not guarantee a safe living for a long stay. Especially if you were born and raised in Western culture, you may not want to visit Afghanistan at all. You are always on edge in the country, and you have no idea what will happen to you in the next minute. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more insightful content. Where should we explore next?